Hello there.
Welcome back, my friend.
Hello, what have we here?
Jedi, we've been expecting you.
Knew I could count on you.
Hello.
Welcome to the rebellion.
What fun!
Hey everyone, Hybrid here with another one of my weekly Black Series figure rankings. Today we are going to be ranking all the figures from Star Wars Rebels. There are 10 unique figures from the show. It's bizarre, it's my favorite show, and I think there's a lot of potential for a lot more characters to come to the line, but Hasbro just seems to be scared of money. I don't know what else to say. So, a lot of these characters came out during the red and black box era and then got a photoreal refresh in the Galaxy packaging in like 2021. So we're going to be talking about the most modern version of these figures. So there's not going to be like two Kanans, the old one and the new one. They're the same figure with slightly better face paint. And why would you buy the old one at that point? So there are 10 unique characters, and I'm very excited to see how this list falls into place and talk about the show a little bit afterwards. So let's get into it. In spot number 10 is Sabine Wren. This is based on Season 1, and I gotta say, this figure missed the mark in a lot of ways. When they bring an animated character into the Black Series, they need to do a realistic interpretation, and her proportions are far from that. She's incredibly skinny, like they plucked her out of the animated style. Her head is ginormous. I'm a fan of the removable helmets, but not like this. This is a bad one. And now that we know what she looks like in real life with the casting of Natasha Liu in the Ahsoka series, I think they need to go back, redo this Sabine, like give her actual realistic proportions more similar to that of the Ahsoka series Sabine figure. Give her a younger Natasha Liu likeness, because at this point, that's who she grows up into, and I think that that is a recipe for success. But as is, this figure is rather rough, so not a fan of this one. Spot number 9 goes to Kanan Jarrus, which sucks because he is like my favorite character of the show. Kanan's figure really just suffers from coming out way early in the red and black box days. His articulation is rough, especially in the arms. Like, the arms are just horrible. The elbows and the shoulders don't have a lot of range. He would be much better served by modern deep cut elbows with butterfly joints, and he just doesn't have them. Also, the scaling on him is weird. They made this figure ginormous, like, to the point that they're trying to say that Kanan Jarrus is like a 6'8" man, which, not saying that he isn't tall, but it's like a lot. I mean, this figure just it almost feels like you're holding a McFarlane figure in one hand when you have a normal Black Series in the other. He's just giant. I do like that they got the lightsaber breaking in two parts feature here, but that's one of the few things I like. And again, much like with Sabine, if you're going to redo Kanan, you got to throw a Freddie Prinze Jr. likeness on it, since the Ahsoka series revealed that Freddie Prinze Jr. is what Kanan Jarrus looks like. Figure number 8 is Grand Admiral Thrawn. He came out in the red and black packaging. They've since archived him. I believe the figures are more or less the same. And truthfully, this figure is a figure that I don't think anyone should pick up, because we have the Ahsoka series realistic interpretation of Thrawn, with the Lars Mikkelsen likeness. And so this figure is more of a Legends look and just not canon and not anything that really appeals to me. However, he has pretty good articulation for an Imperial officer. This is pre-butterfly joints, but close to the time that they got butterfly joints. So he's not the worst. He articulates better than Kanan and Sabine, so that's why I had to put him a little bit higher up the list. But ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, I think this is just a figure that everyone should pass on and go buy the superior Ahsoka series version. Figure number 7 goes to the Imperial Jump Trooper. I had forgotten about this figure until making this list. So we did get a Gaming Greats version from Battlefront 2, but this version with the orange shoulder pad is seen in the Geonosis arc in Season 3 of Rebels, and it's a pretty cool figure. It uses that old Stormtrooper body, so I can't put it too high up the list, but the jetpacks are really cool. I like the helmets with the breathing tube attachments. This is one of the few figures in the line to ever come with a stand. They tried in the Red Box era to give a couple figures these little triangle stands, and then they went away, and I don't understand why, because they actually worked kind of well. But anyways, generally I think it's a fine figure. Of course, I'd love to see a redo on the modern Stormtrooper body, but this is a little bit of a reach when it comes to the popularity of this trooper, so I don't know that it's going to be at the top of the list. But it's not the worst trooper to come out on that old Stormtrooper body, and that's why it's spot number 7 on the Rebels list. In spot number 6, we have Ahsoka Tano, and this is a character I wish was so much better, but similar to Sabine, the proportions are just a little bit off. She's way too skinny to be a realistic interpretation, and her feet are so small that you can't put her in any kind of dynamic pose at all without her tipping over. This is a figure that requires a stand that is not included, and it's just a character that I really think could be done better. This is one of those cases of them having to take a shot in the dark and make a realistic interpretation of an animated character on the likeness. If they redid her, again, I'd like to see a younger Rosario Dawson likeness. That's going to be a big theme on this Rebels list, is now we know what they look like as people. Redos need to start looking like these actors. So, anyway, Ahsoka really could be a lot better. Spot number 5 goes to Ezra. So my only real quirk on this figure is he has this weird thing going on with the hip joints, where instead of it being a normal barbell like most figures have, it's like a Y-shaped barbell, and it makes the hips articulate weird. I like the translation of the staple gun lightsaber to, the realistic world. However, I think it probably should have been scaled up just a little bit more, but it's not bad. The Stormtrooper helmet, the training Stormtrooper helmet, is nice, and I gotta say, yes, I'd like a more Manasfandi looking, face if they ever redid him, but this is not this one is not like the furthest one from looking like the realistic interpretation, so I tolerate it. He has some pretty good articulation. He was one of the last ones to come out ultimately, so he was somewhat more modern. He came out in like 2019, so he features some of the benefits of the photoreal and the butterfly joints, and ultimately he's okay. He's, there's a reason he's in spot number 5. We're definitely on the better half of the list at this point. Spot number 4 goes to Hera Syndulla. So, again, it's just she was one of the later ones to come out. Ezra came out after. But she's pretty good for the time that she came out. As far as the proportions go, she's not as unrealistically skinny as the Ahsoka and Sabine turned out. Of course, I'd like to see a redo with a Mary Elizabeth Winstead likeness. That would be very nice. But this is not the worst one of the batch by any stretch. Her articulation's good. I like the boot, holster for her pistol. I really not a whole ton to say here, generally speaking, but it was a really nice interpretation of her animated look to, a more live-action medium. So ultimately, yeah, a couple things I'd like to see tweaked, but generally a really good figure. Spot number 3 goes to Zeb. So Zeb was the final member of the Ghost Crew to come out. He's a deluxe. I think that he's worthy of that deluxe title. He's very large. His bowcaster came out great. I love that you can transform it to staff mode or blaster mode, just depending on how you want. And it's like in-universe. It pulls, it extends, you twist some pieces around. That's really, really nice. His articulation is pretty good. Some of it's a little bit dated with some of like the exposed pins, but that's very much a 2020 action figure kind of thing. And ultimately, I think that he holds up to date. It might be nice to maybe see a reissue with a new head sculpt that's just a little bit closer to what they ultimately went with a live action model. But he's a really good interpretation, and honestly, the best of the humanoid Phoenix crew members. So I really do like Zeb a lot. Spot number 2 goes to Chopper, my favorite murder astromech. He is an excellent figure. He was scaled right from the get-go. This was back in the era when we still had that underscaled R2-D2 model. They did Chopper correct right off rip. They've oddly issued him twice with 2 different numbers in the Rebels mural. That's a weird little trivia for you. But it's still a good figure. He has a lot of really fun gimmicks with the swappable leg from that one episode of Rebels where he found the matching set at the market. He comes with the ability to remove the third leg wheel and put in his rocket thruster. He comes with a blast off effect. All of his arms that he can pop out of his head in front of his torso all pop out and articulate, and he's just very expressive. He is very much an excellent interpretation of what you see on screen. Chopper is easily the best done member of the Phoenix crew so far. Spot number 1 goes to the 7th Sister Inquisitor. She's the obvious choice. She's several years newer than any of these other figures. She has drastically more modernized articulation, and she comes with some great accessories, the little Seeker droid and the swoosh blades, and her helmet can come off in multiple pieces, to give you all the variations that you see on screen in the show. Her articulation is phenomenal. There's nothing bad to say about this figure. The Seven Sister Inquisitor is an excellent figure, a contender for the top 10 list of 2026 already, and just a really, really good one. I really don't have anything bad to say here. I think that she is really, really fun. I love this figure a lot, and it's just a very worthy position #1 figure for this list. So that is it for my Rebels figure rankings. What do you think? Am I anywhere near correct? Am I off my rocker? Let me know in the comments below. Keep it cool. Remember, we are just talking about toys here. The general thing that came to mind as we were going through these is I really want the Rebels to be redone. Basically across the board. You could keep Chopper, and yeah, that's about it. You could keep Chopper. Chopper was like a swing and a hit the first time. But the rest of them have just become very aged, very dated, and compared to what they do with figures nowadays, I just really think the line, it's no longer a case of reissue these characters. They all need redos. Now we know what they look like in live action. We need some new likenesses on these guys, modern articulation, some tweaks on proportions, whether it's giving Ahsoka and Sabine more realistic, like just real life proportions, or maybe making Kanan not 7 foot tall. There's just some fixes that need to be done across the line on this crew. And yeah, I would like to see some redos, but ultimately we do have some great figures here, particularly Seventh Sister and Chopper. So yeah, that's generally where I'm at. I hope you all had fun hanging out with me, talking about some Rebels figures. Keep an eye out. There's always a new video coming out. So with that said, may the Force be with you. I look forward to doing the next video with you. And until then, have a good day.